Tracking multiple atmospheric rivers as they make their return to California, we're back to a cooler and showery weather pattern. I'm ABC 10 Chief Meteorologist Monica Woods. We are looking at that pattern flip by the end of the week, continuing into the weekend, and now very likely into early next week. We're going to see valley rain, Sierra snow, and we got to get out all that rain gear once again, as well as prepare for difficult travel in the Sierra. So we're going to continue to track this with our in-depth forecast on ABC 10 Plus. Make sure you download it wherever you stream. It's live, local, always on, and free as well. All right, today we were streaming live when we talked about our earthquakes. We had a 5.5 in Nevada, felt all the way into the Sacramento Valley and beyond. It was quite an active afternoon and early evening in the east of the Sierra, as you can see, right in between about Silver Springs and Fallon, Nevada. So multiple aftershocks as well. We're still tracking those even tonight. As far as our aftershocks, we've had over 10, ranging anywhere from about 2.5 to about 3.6. There have been some that have been closer to about 4.0 magnitude. So something to certainly watch. But again, here's the distance from those earthquakes all the way into Sacramento. So quite a distance there that we felt that shaking. Most of that was very much on the weak to light shaking that we felt all the way into the Sacramento area, certainly stronger right around the epicenter of that magnitude 5.5 earlier this afternoon in Nevada. Now, the chance of aftershocks over the next 7 days, you can see not much in the range of about magnitude 5, 6, or 7. That's going to run about less than 1% to 20%. Most of these are going to be about 4.0 and less over the next 7 days. But we're still feeling, by the way, aftershocks from that 7.0 last week off the northwest coast of California. On to our pattern shift. Let's get back to our weather now. We're going from below ground to above ground here. Cooler and showery weather ahead as two different weather systems will start to shift that storm track more so to the south. That's going to allow for a lot more activity to move in from the Pacific with cooler and showery weather by the end of the work week. We first track, though, areas of morning fog, frosty conditions. Our lows are in the 30s, and then we'll get on to the rain chances. So for at least the beginning of the work week, we're still looking at areas of fog. Tomorrow morning, we're right back at it for Tuesday morning's commute, not only along the Highway 99 corridor, but this expands into the I-5 corridor as well. Visibility at times less than a quarter of a mile. We had that dense fog advisory on Monday morning. I very much expect potentially that to be happening again into our Tuesday before things start to clear out. Now, the key difference here is that we won't have those northwest winds to scour out some of that fog a little bit earlier in the morning. So expect to see that hang on just a little bit longer into our Tuesday. You can see the lows over the next 7 days without the impacts of the wind, keeping that warmer air closer to the surface. We have these frosty temperatures here Tuesday and Wednesday. Lows are in the mid to upper 30s. Some of us even dropping to about 30 degrees or so. Once we start to see the cloud cover and the rain, that will help to add that buffer, a little bit warmer for those overnight lows, and then we'll bring in that chance for showers as well. We got multiple systems to track out here. You can see it here on our satellite and radar. Nothing to track right now in terms of rain, but these are all going to start to weaken the high pressure ridge, which has been bringing us the hazy skies, poor air quality, dense fog, and above normal temperatures. Our future moisture really starting to depict how much is coming into Northern California. The first of which arrives late Wednesday with that plume of moisture starting to impact us with our first atmospheric river. It's going to be on the lower scale here, about an AR1 or 2. Kicking us off here for the week. And then by Saturday, another one moves in. That one does look a little bit more potent. It'll be followed by another one Sunday night into Monday before things start to wind down and that storm track starts to move its way northward again. You can see that significant plume of moisture, though, heading into the Pacific Northwest. So that's how things are going to unfold as it stands right now into the end of this work week, into the beginning of the next. But we are getting more confidence on the fact that showers will be arriving this week with cooler temperatures, more on the side of minimal impacts. Now, that could shift with that Saturday storm. We'll have to continue to monitor that, and unfortunately, that could hit on a weekend as well. The lower confidence still arrives on the shower timing Thursday through the weekend. Thursday's looking pretty good, but the weekend one Still a little bit iffy there on precise timing of the onset of the rain and snow. Plus, the totals are a little bit on the weaker end of confidence. But all in all, this is how things start to unfold with these changes. By early Thursday morning, you can see how rain is starting to move in towards the coast and impacting much of the valley. A few snow showers for this year. It's not on the higher impact for that day, at least for the morning. By Thursday afternoon, though, things are really starting to shift here. We see the back edge of this storm system. It's a quick mover, starting to already exit parts of the coast. This will be moving its way through during the evening commute, but snow really piling up here for the Tahoe Basin, north of I-80, south of Highway 50, along 395, and that's going to give us some pretty decent totals. Things will clear out overnight. We're back to a dry forecast for Friday morning. I very much anticipate those some patchy fog forming for Friday morning before starting to see that next wave of wet weather moving through late in the day on Friday through the evening and overnight hours with more snow for the Sierra. This one a little bit lighter on the precipitation initially. We'll pick up, though, on Saturday afternoon, totaling about 1/10 of an inch to 1/2 an inch. Some areas closer to about an inch of rain through the valley into the foothills. Some of those higher foothills, though, getting in at about 1.5 inches of rain. In terms of snowfall totals, this is going to be quite impressive. Anywhere from 1 to 30 inches of snow possible by the time we get into Saturday. Now, keep in mind, we still have Sunday into Monday to go through as well. Many of the ski resorts are open. So if you're planning to do any skiing or snowboarding, I'd say this weekend's looking really good to hit that fresh powder. Over the next 10 days, Boreal with about 18 inches of forecasted new snow. Sierra Tahoe, 25. Palisades Tahoe, 23. North Star, 15 inches. Soda Springs, 31. Kirkwood, 30. Those are two of the big hot spots there to get some pretty decent snowpack coming in. Sugar Bowl, 25 inches, and Tahoe Donner at 20 inches. Again, over the next 10 days. Now, the caveat is on the tail end of that 10 days, we get into a warmer weather pattern, but it should be pretty good in the short-term forecast. Another thing to watch out for, though, is this snow level is going to be anywhere from about 5,000 to 6,000 and periodically up to about 6,500 feet through the weekend forecast. That means snow on the passes, slow going, chain controls likely, difficult travel, and kind of slow going up the hill to hit those ski resorts if you do plan on hitting the powder this weekend. Looking at our Sierra snow water equivalent, we actually need this snow. We're starting to see things kind of go in the wrong direction. As of today, we're only 79% of average for the Central Sierra. We are doing quite a bit better for the Northern Sierra, but keep in mind that first significant atmospheric river that came through largely favored areas in the Tahoe Basin and points northward. So that is where we saw the biggest snowpack occurring. Now, the Southern Sierra, just by nature, tends to have less snow, and so we're at 118% of average. It doesn't mean that's where most of the snow is. It's just keep in mind that's average today. And then our statewide average is 114%. Again, good. Most of that is from the Northern Sierra, with our percent of April 1st average at 19%. That April 1st number is key because that's when we typically see most of our snowpack and snowfall end and the snowmelt begin to fill our reservoirs. Looking at our precipitation tracker for downtown Sacramento, we're still slightly above average, but again, that number is starting to shrink as well. This season, we've had over 4 inches of rain, putting our average to date a little bit above normal. Normally, we have about 3.64 inches of rain, so we're down just a bit here for the month as well. But for the year, October 1st, which will run all the way through next year for the water year, we're above average. And that's true as well for much of Northern California, all because of that first significant atmospheric river. Pretty impressive what one atmospheric river can do. It was followed by a weaker one, but all in all, the big one that came through with record-setting rain is the one that bumped up those numbers. December, January, and February account for half of our yearly precipitation. So it's really key that if we don't pick up in December, that's okay, because November was such a big month for us. January and February, really, we're going to need to do some catching up here. As I mentioned before, if you're headed up to the Sierra, this is kind of the weekend to do it. I've been talking to all my folks that love to ski and snowboard, and they said, oh, it's looking like a big weekend. oh, I might hold off till next weekend. And I said, oh, you might want to go this weekend because likely warmer in the setup here, despite the fact we'll be in this likely wetter scenario. If we do stay on track for that likely warmer setup, that could push that snow line higher. So anybody that's not hitting those black diamonds and really those high peaks are going to struggle at the lower elevations just because we're going to be in that kind of warmer period. So it might get a little slushy for some of the lower slopes. Looking at our countdown, we are only 12 days away from the winter solstice, 16 from Christmas Day and the beginning of Hanukkah, 23 days away from the beginning of the new year, which means the big travel season, the big ski, snowboarding season is just around the corner when there's so much travel into the high country and throughout the state. Highs for tomorrow, right around 50 for the high country. Now, the nice news here, look at those overnight lows. A lot of machine-made powder going on at the ski resorts, and that certainly helps the lower elevations to kind of offset some of the warmer conditions that may be heading our way. 50s and 60s for the foothills after morning lows in the 30s. A little bit of patchy fog at the lower foothill elevations. Along the coast, we're looking at highs in the 60s for our Tuesday forecast. Now, as we travel inland, look at some of those lows. We're right around 30 to 35 degrees. It's going to be quite frosty out there with areas of dense fog as well. We're going to be keeping you ahead of all of that. Then we move into our active weather period with snow and showers returning to the mountains as well as the foothills for the coast. We're going to see periods of on and off showers there in the forecast along with a lot of cloud cover. Our 3-day forecast, we've got highs in the 50s, morning lows in the 30s. Then we get into the rain coming our way on Thursday. That'll take us through the weekend and the beginning of next week before we start to dry out, warm up just a little bit. But we're going to be keeping an eye on this Thursday through next Monday time frame.